So we're gonna watch an honest review of women's suffrage. Yes, we're going for this one now. We're going for a more controversial video, if you may. Let's get into it.
Capable of many things, but voting well doesn't seem to be one of them. In their defense, men don't vote that well either, but are still considerably better on average. In
Mm.
this video, we go over the political gender gap, the causes behind it, and some ancient wisdom to give an honest review of women's suffrage. And if you enjoyed, consider subscribing, it helps the channel. First, let's get some basic things out of the way. Contrary to propaganda, we do not live in a patriarchy. Collectively,
We really don't. We really, really don't.
women have more power in the West than men do. We live in democracies where everyone can vote, and women both outnumber men and have a higher voter turnout. If women voted as one united bloc, they'd win every election. Secondly, women control education through sheer numbers, and as anyone of my generation can attest, will often force their policies.
That's I'm not gonna forcing these things onto, let's be honest, young people. That's that's predator activity to me. I'm not gonna lie. Like teaching these type of things in school, that's borderline predator activity. Like I seen a video of a trans woman. She was walking around with, let's just say, someone that was very, very younger, doing a drag show. Doing a drag show. It was disgusting. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I honestly hope it was AI. Like, I hope it wasn't real. That's how horrible it was.
Down children's throats. Thirdly, women control the professional environment through HR, again through numbers, to the point where we've even had cases of HR ladies on social media openly saying that if you post right-wing content, they won't hire you and they will ruin your reputation with other companies. And lastly, the consistent pro-woman bias in family courts have given them asymmetric leverage in marriages. The only power men
Which I don't understand. If from my understanding, single fathers do much better than single mothers. Like, preferably, obviously, you'd have both parents in the home, but on average, just from what I've seen, single fathers do much better. And by the way, I just wanna like having a step parent in your home, that's horrible, by the way. Unless you have unless she's a he or she is a good person. But having someone that's not their biological parent with your child, it's just it's irresponsible in my
still
it's
have in our
irresponsible. Not even
societies
in my
are
opinion, it's just
reactive.
irresponsible.
They have the power to use force, for obvious reasons, which they simply don't nowadays, and they have
Yeah.
productivity. Because despite of all the efforts we went through to get women into the workforce, they have not occupied the essential jobs that keep society running.
They don't do any of the hard jobs. I didn't even know there was a 100% in this. 100% of structural iron workers are men. I mean, who could have guessed? Who could have guessed?
And I doubt the endless Zoom meetings would be missed. So men could theoretically go on strike, refuse to maintain essential services, and force change. But as long as the status quo remains, women collectively are in charge. So what have they done with all this power? The
That's
Greek
literally
playwright
how easy it is,
Aristophanes,
by the way. It's
referred
kind
to
of
as the father of
terrifying if you think
comedy,
about it.
wrote a play 2,400 years ago where he
Because I'm gonna say something that I hope doesn't come out the wrong way. But what some women don't understand is the only thing stopping you from being victimized is men. Because I will be very honest, not all men, but there are some depraved men out there, some very depraved people out there. The only thing stopping them is other men. The absolutely only thing. Or if you have something to protect yourself, which by the way, they're trying to get rid of that. It just doesn't make sense to me for women. to not want to have a weapon because just biologically, you're the weaker sex. You need something to protect yourself, and you're trying to get rid of that yourself. I find it so insane how how these people, mainly left wing women, from what I understand, from what I've just seen, honestly, how they will do everything in their power to try to make it better for women, and everything they're doing is making it worse.
Predicted the outcomes of what would happen if women took control of politics, called the Assembly of Women. His predictions included massive welfare expansion and equity focus, enabling free riding and draining the treasury, hostility to private property and private relationships, erosion of the family unit with the state as a substitute provider, weakened commitment, chaotic dating markets, and ironically fiercer female competition, as well as the punishing of masculine traits leading to more effeminate men. Aristophanes was eerily prescient, with modern voting data showing women, on average, strongly backing the patterns he warned about. An 8 to 15 point swing over men in favor of increasing welfare beyond its already extensive size, a
Okay.
20 point swing in favor over men in support of increased gun control, and as much as a 15 point swing over men in support of
Like this, I will never understand for a woman. I will never understand it. Because without a weapon, let's be realistic. Without a weapon, what does a woman have over a man? Absolutely nothing. What do you even have to protect yourself? How are you going to defend yourself? Like, that's what I'm genuinely very curious. How? Unless you're one very strong woman, what are you going to do exactly?
increased gun control, and as much as a 15 point swing over men in favor of mass immigration. And perhaps something not even
Even worse, because you're caught. Like, okay,
Aristophanes
I'm
could have
sorry.
predicted,
I'll just keep.
56% in favor of killing their own unborn kids for any reason. A
Yeah,
15-point gap
it's getting even worse now to where I don't know what state it was, but I'm pretty sure they just passed a law to where you can terminate the pregnancy across the whole thing now. Like all 9 months, it doesn't matter. It's just despicable. And the world we live in, man.
compared to men. Looking at the downstream social effects, declining families, rising spending, polarization, Assembly of Women feels less like satire and more like a warning. There are two clear patterns here. Firstly, many women are clearly voting to use the state as a substitute husband. Instead of men protecting and providing for their families, the state does it. But the irony is,
And by the way, who in the state ends up doing it? Other men. Who ends up protecting these women? Not other women. I can certainly tell you that. I uh, I genuinely don't believe at all there should be any female police officers. I don't believe so at all. I don't believe it should exist.
the state can only provide for them
Maybe female correctional officers who work in female prisons, but even then, it's like,
by taking resources
it's
from
iffy.
men. After all, the state itself does not produce anything. In essence, this is a form of forced disenfranchisement against men. Men's naturally advantaged ability to protect and provide was once leverage for them in the dating market, leverage they could use to get a higher quality spouse. But by these being forcefully taken from them and given for free to women, men's value and agency have been vastly reduced. One of the only things nowadays that men get to keep entirely for themselves is their own physical attractiveness.
Exactly.
Historically, physical attractiveness is a trait women would use for more leverage in the dating market. But since that's all that men have left for themselves, it explains the recent trend of men becoming so obsessed with their appearance. And
So now it's to the point to where if you're a man, you pretty much have to have a mix of both. Either you have to be really rich, really attractive, or well, not have to, because obvious. I don't think that's a rule actually. I just think it's better, but I don't think it's something that's necessary. If I'm gonna be honest, but it helps to be either really rich, really attractive, or you're not very rich, but you're really attractive. I, it's not the exact same thing. I'm explaining it wrong. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with my brain, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. Or you have to have a mix of both, basically. Like you're not very rich, but you're just attractive enough. That's what I'm trying to say.
and as a result becoming more effeminate. People blame dating apps and social media for the extreme focus on male appearance, but the fact that so many other aspects of masculinity have been forcefully substituted by the state seems like the greater cause. Since men are now less incentivized to acquire the necessary masculine skills to protect and provide, they'll do so less, and focus instead on more rewarding feminine traits, and as such the state will have less and less masculinity to draw on, ultimately leading to less provision and protection for society over time, as we're already seeing. There's some nuance though, because while women generally have been treating the state as a substitute husband, there
Mhm.
are certain groups of women who will absolutely not vote this way, and in fact despise this behavior. That is,
Yeah, the normal ones.
women who themselves have long-lasting successful relationships with men. This is intuitive. The less successful a woman is in establishing a strong private relationship with a man, the more likely she is to try to use the state to redistribute masculinity towards her. Meanwhile, if a woman is
And also, I just now thought of this. You don't know the worst thing about these women? It's that they will sabotage each other. They don't even care enough not to hurt each other because they're jealous. Like if a woman is more attractive, they will let if you're more attractive than than some woman, there's a chance she will just hate you for no reason. Just hate you.
successful in that pursuit, the less likely she is to want to share her man. This is effectively the libertarian versus welfare debate, except proxied through relationships. As such, societies that encourage promiscuity, polygamy, and non-commitment are effectively a form of socialism for undesirable women. As men and women continue to drift apart and fail to establish long-standing relationships, the more appealing this form of socialism becomes for them. This again mirrors Aristophanes' prediction, where in the play the assemblywomen forced men's attention to be shared with less desirable women. The second pattern of female voting
But that's speaking of that, I don't know if I could find this video so I could react to it too. Like there was this I watched this video where this guy got 100 women and had them rate each other. And this I don't want to be rude because she was very honest, but this woman who didn't like 100 was the most attractive and she was at 100, even though she definitely wasn't the most attractive. And woman just came by, seen the board, and didn't even question it. They didn't say a thing about it
is supporting whatever the current thing is.
for a
I gave you the
while.
stats about modern day voting issues, where you see women giving significantly more support to liberal mainstream ideology that we've all been taught in school. But if we rewind the clock some decades back to when mainstream institutions were conservative, you'd see women being more conservative than men. Why? Because it was the current thing. Women
Mm,
are, on average, more agreeable than men. A consequence of agreeableness is the fear of going against the perceived consensus. As such, women operate less as independent voters, but rather as parrots of institutions. If the dominant institutions are conservative, women will broadly be conservative. If they're liberal, women will broadly be liberal. Naturally,
okay.
parroting the dominant opinion is not helpful in politics, and actually reinforces political entrenchment, facilitating corruption, lack of scrutiny, and dogmatism. A deeper issue of suffrage is its effect on the family unit. In
Mm-hmm.
healthy societies with strong families, husbands and wives are aligned. They'll vote the same, making the extra votes redundant. However, now you have the political incentive to appeal not to families, but to individuals. And if your platform is generally
Mm-hmm.
more appealing to women, especially single women, but not to men, you are now incentivized to push policies that sabotage or delay family formation, or to get wives to vote against their husbands, which causes marital rift and has happened in recent campaigns. After all, as we've established, generally women in successful marriages will not vote for the state as a substitute husband, thus diminishing your power. This means that at best, women's suffrage is largely redundant, and at worst, it politically incentivizes the subversion of the family, and therefore the future of your nation. Additionally, this is a weakness that's unique to women's suffrage, as while you can somewhat use the state as a substitute husband through the roles of protector and provider, the state is incapable of providing men with what they'd want from a wife. The market, on the other hand, fully exploits
That's like the worst part about it.
single men. But that's a topic for another day.
Oh, and I know exactly what type of exploitation he's talking about. I will say though, men as a whole do need to stop though, because they kind of fund these women. Men do fund these women.
So here's my honest review
Like
of
that
women's
has to
suffrage.
stop.
We're now in a situation where family formation is at an all-time low, reckless government spending at an all-time high, men and women are lonelier and more depressed than ever, dominant political institutions are more entrenched than ever, and every single policy that led to these outcomes are consistently upheld by the female vote. In a way so predictable, the ancient Greeks were laughing at us over 2,000 years ago. 0 out of 10 would not recommend opening a door for total societal collapse again.
All right, well, that was that video. Let's get into the next one.